I'm John Ainslie, the writer-director of the upcoming film The Sublet, and you're watching The 13th Wolfman.
Hey everybody, I'm the 13th Wolfman. You know what? I have the director, the writer for the sublet, John Ainslie, and one of the actors from the movie, Rachel Sellan. I get that right?
Yeah. Sellan, you got it.
Well, I I go by the 13th Wolfman, but I do have a actual, I have a regular name out there, and it gets messed up all the time. So I try to get it right. I know the bothersome, deal it could be to have a name like that gets messed up all the time. So just trying. So welcome to Sit Down, you two. You guys have got a new movie out called The Sub. Well, it's been out there in the festivals. It's coming out like within the next month. The Sublet in North America.
In North America, anyways, yeah.
Yeah, this is a fun movie. I mean, if you haven't, well, obviously they haven't seen this movie in the U.S., but over in Europe, it's known as The Resident.
Resident in the UK. I think everywhere else in Europe it'll still be The Sublet. England is fancy and has their own title.
What's with that? Come on.
I guess they don't use that word. I didn't realize, but as long as it gets out there, what do I care what they call it?
True. So, John, from inception to final cut, how long did it take to make this movie?
A long time. Inception was, I'm trying to think, 2010, my co-writer Alison Richards, I guess that is not really Inception. She had an idea. She was subletting an apartment in LA at the time and felt like people were watching her. And so she wanted to make a movie, but it was more like Vacancy, where people were watching on cameras, and the danger was real. And then I started as we chatted about it, it became Paranormal, because I thought that was a little more interesting to balance reality with paranormal. And then it went through change after change after change, and we both started writing it together the same year that we both had children. So the writing and progression was very slow, and sometimes we'd go a month and work a lot on it, and then 8 months would go by and we wouldn't work at all. And then literally it was a movie that we just had put in a box and we're never going to make, and it was just kind of sitting there and didn't know what to do with. And I randomly went for a meeting with Cody of Black Fawn. I'd never met him before. And I pitched a movie called Do Not Disturb, which is hopefully one of my next films about well, I'll get into that one later. But
don't give
it was
anything away.
undoable. And then from that moment on, though, I mean, as soon as Cody got it, the script, I think we met in spring, and by September we were shooting. So
Wow.
Yeah, and that was 2 years ago. So, and then it was a year of shooting in post. And then pretty much, yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I know that you said on Wicked Horror Show that, this was a low budget type thing. And to hear that it took that long to make a low budget movie. Sometimes you hear these movies are made like in a weekend, and you can tell that they're made in a weekend. Yours, you can't. I mean, honestly, there's no way. This movie is so well thought out, so well put together. The lighting is right. The effects are good. It's just something everyone needs to experience.
Nice. I'm glad people enjoy the effort, because it took a lot of effort. I was rewriting on mornings of. I think even into ADR at the end. I was rewriting dialogue for stuff. So kind of never stop rewriting, and it's the nature of trying to figure out. Because I mean, as certain things come to light, other things start to make sense, and then we had the fortune or misfortune of a card malfunction on set, so we had to go back, and we lost a day of shooting. We had to go backwards and reshoot a bunch of stuff, which I actually recommend, because we reshot in a better way, and we learned from what we did the first time. So,
so Rachel, I know I try to balance these out. So I mean,
No.
So how? I mean, you said earlier, like I said on Wicked Horror Show, that you that you want to be an actor at the age of 4. What was like your first major role in a movie, if you don't mind?
Um, it's funny. My first major. Okay, well, no. Honestly, like this is one of my first like major roles. I did have a small role in a horror movie that everyone knows about, Silent Hill 2. It actually came out in theaters, and it was a pretty big deal for me because I was pretty. I mean, I wasn't young, but I was newer in the business. But I mean, again, I die in this movie, so it was like a quick scene.
You
But
play
it was,
Mannequin Girl. That's pretty.
yeah, like,
Seriously?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
I love that
does-
movie.
really. I'm the
Yeah,
I have
only
a
Mannequin
girl.
Girl.
copy. I have a copy in the Doom room right now.
Oh my god, yes. So I mean, it was a big deal because yes, it was big budget. I got on set. I had my own trailer. You know, they came to the door, knocked, and like, we're ready for you. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? It was, that was like a big deal, and I knew, I'm like, okay, this is amazing. I literally have maybe 10 seconds in this movie, and I'm being treated like a superstar. I'm like, this, I can get used to this. Definitely.
Yeah,
But
I remember seeing the first one, and because I'm not a gamer, so
mhm.
the whole thing Silent Hill is based on a video game. I didn't know that until later when people were complaining that the movie was nothing like the video game. And I was like, oh, it's a video game. Okay, well, I didn't know that. But I didn't really care for the first one. And then
Yeah,
when the second one came out and had Rhoda Mitchell in it, I'm like, okay, I love Rhoda Mitchell, So,
yeah, Kit Harington, and yeah, it was a big deal for me. It was overwhelming. It was pretty awesome, but I died, so it was just a quick in and out, but it was experience and everything.
still, I mean, to say that your first movie was a major motion picture that was, mass released, throughout the world. I mean, how many people get to say, hey, guess what? I had 10 seconds and, whatever.
It's a
Exactly.
good 10 seconds though.
Huh?
Right? I mean,
It's the Mannequin Girl is a pretty good 10 seconds. I think it's more
Yeah.
like a minute and a half or two.
yeah, I had to go and do special effects and ADR, so I mean, it's like I worked for like a week. It's something like just prolong it.
And now in the sublet, you play Alex, the bitchy ex-girlfriend.
Yes, I love it. I actually love being the bitchy girl. I mean, I always get sent out for oh, the sweet girl next door, like so it was just nice to get some cutthroat, like one-liners in there, and the whole theater laugh. You're like, all right, cool, this is awesome.
Yeah, one of my favorite lines in this is when we first get introduced to Alex. You're talking to your ex-boyfriend in French, and the the other girl doesn't understand French, and
Why?
she just kind of like gives a look or says something about it, and your character goes, "Oh, that's right, you don't speak French," and I'm just like, "Oh man, what a bitch!"
Like, that, or when she asked me to stay for food, and the comment after that, I'm like, I would never say that to anybody. But it's so fun to be able to say it and be like, ha, yeah, I get to play this. Enjoy it.
She doesn't eat meat for health reasons, but she smokes.
I love that. So she nailed it. I love
You
that.
did a great job in this movie. I mean, this movie is going to be big. I see it. At least I think so.
Yeah.
It's I said before. I mean, this movie reminds me a lot of like a Rosemary's Baby type of thing. And John, you said it was not based, but you were inspired, loosely inspired by the Apartment trilogy of Polanski.
Yeah, the Tenant and Rosemarys.
Yeah. The Tenant, Repulsion, and Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, to me, those three are just great horror. Like, because all three touch on sort of the mix of psychological and physical danger, and all three of them hit in a different way. Like Rosemary's Baby, there is really paranormal, and Repulsion, it's all in her head. And the Tenant, if anyone can figure that movie out, then I'll pay you $20 because I can't figure that. I love that film because it's just there's no way to make sense of it, and yet I watch it again and again trying to figure it out. So.
No, I mean, there is a lot of paranormal actually in Rosemary's Baby, but there's a lot of paranoia. I mean, you don't know that there's paranormal in it until close to the end. You just think Rosemary's losing her freaking mind. You know, it's like, why does she not trust her neighbors? What's about this little, this tea or whatever, and you kind of threw a little bit of those few things in there in this one with the sugar and the fact that the husband, was an actor.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Cassavetes character where they have the spell and the other actor breaks his leg, so that's how Cassavetes gets the role, which I think is great. I mean,
I can't say enough how much I love this movie, dude. I'm serious. It might just sound like, oh, he's just sucking up, but no. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I really get into. I've been a horror fan forever. I was like 5 years old when I first started watching horror, and I'm going on 50.
Well, and I think this one, I mean, for me, because I'm older now, and I'm not old, but I'm 40, and it touches on sort of like, and like I mentioned before, is keeping things simple and going back to the beginnings and not. I feel like the 90s were good for horror, and then all of a sudden we entered this like jump scare frenzy in horror that kind of took over, and we're sort of emerging from that. And I think the last few years have shown really cool horror films and really cool, a return to sort of the influences instead of this, I don't know what to call it, disposable horror, just disposable films in general. But the last few years have been great.
I feel that the 90s were okay when it came to horror. Because to me, everyone says, oh, well, horror was reinvented with Scream, but horror, that wasn't really a horror film. That was a mystery film. Because you spend the whole time going, who's doing it? Whereas when other slashers before that, we all knew who the bad guy was. It was Jason, it was Freddy, it was Michael, it was Leatherface, and at the end of this one, they're like, oh, well, it's Billy and Stu. It's like, oh, well, yay, it was a Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
And that's what the 90s were. It's like Urban Legends, I Know What You Did Last Summer, stuff like that were all like these really weird Scooby-Doo movies. So
yeah, they were like family-friendly, the PG-13 crowd.
I really preferred like the early 2000s when we started getting, Cabin Fever.
Cabin Fever is the one I was going to just bring up because that was the
Wrong Turn and the remake of TCM, which wasn't really that bad.
No, and people pan it, but I don't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
It's different, and I think they took a different take on it. I mean, they kept it within the family, but it doesn't have the brute. I mean, the original one, I went to see the original one in a theater with a lot of people, and I was surprised to see that many people. I don't know why I was surprised, but I was surprised that many people, and they weren't young people. They were a mix of every type of walk of life. And the woman beside me, when Leatherface jumps out of the bushes and when Leatherface jumps out of the bushes and when the wheelchair kid's there, she threw a popcorn over everyone. And I thought, what other kind of films make people throw popcorn out of their lap over, nothing does that. And that's when it was like, horrors are great, man. Like that's the kind of shit. It's visceral, and it's like you're sitting in an audience, but you feel threatened and you feel in danger. And I love that.
What about you, Rachel?
That actually scare you. Like that's when people are like, oh, it's really scary, I can't. I'm like, oh my god, that's the movie I want to see. I'm like, what's it called? Like, I'll go home and watch it by myself right now. I don't even care. Like, I want to go to bed in like every corner of the room. I want it to scare me. Like, I want to be scared to wake up and go to the washroom, so I don't. Like, I love that feeling because it will last for 3 days, and then I'll be like, all right, it's cool. Like, that was a good movie. That scared me for 3 days. Like, awesome. But now it's not like that.
Are you still a big horror fan? I mean,
I love horror movies, but it sucks because people be like, oh, this is so scary, and I'll watch it, and there'll be like one scene where I'm like, ooh, like, no, I want to be freaked out and sweating the whole time. Like, I actually enjoy that. I seriously do.
I haven't had that feeling since 75, but I do. I love horror, but the movie that freaked me out when I was a kid was Race with the Devil, with Peter Fonda, Loretta Swit, Warren Oates. And it's the only movie to ever freak me out because there's a big, long, convoluted story to this, but the breakdown is that in the movie there's a cult in the woods, and I live next to woods where the rumors were there was a cult. So it freaked me out. So that's the edited version. But so I mean, since then nothing's really freaked me out after that. I mean, I've sat through everything, but I dug it all because I was always the kid. Everyone else was going, well, that's freaky, and I'm going, how did they do that? How did Tom Savini cut off Pamela Voorhees' head? I mean, yeah. I always wanted to know the myth behind the magic, and that's what got me into horror a lot. It's like, oh my God. So yes, I want to be scared. I haven't been scared in a long time, but I still dig horror till this day. I mean, are there
Babadook? I don't know if you've ever watched it, but the Babadook, it's an Australian-made horror film.
I haven't seen it yet. I want to.
Oh, that's the one that I had nightmares for like a couple of weeks, and I was just like, oh my God. And I made my boyfriend watch it, and he hates horror movies, and I was like, you just need to watch it because I need to watch it again. But it was so scary. The music alone was creepy, and the story, everything. It's just definitely watch that, and then tell me if you weren't scared, because if you weren't, then my gosh, what the hell?
Why is it that the chicks that dig horror are always with dudes that don't like it?
No, because I don't. It's very rare.
It's just so. Now, what did you? Just out of curiosity, what did you think of It Follows?
Me?
Either one of you.
I didn't think it was scary at all.
Well, wasn't I don't think it was. Yeah, go on.
Was it supposed to be scary? I'm sorry. No, I don't know. I watched it because someone was like, it's so scary. And, like, not scary, but just weird. And, like, I thought it was weird, but I don't know. I think I expected it to be more of, like, a creepy thing. And I was, like, disappointed. But it was still, like, all right. I mean, I wouldn't watch it again.
Okay.
I wanted to really like it because visually it was just so amazing. And style is just had such a great style and tone and feel to it. And then it created such a cool world, and then it didn't follow its own rules. And that's what bothered me. But I still like it. I like it quite a bit. There's a scene where if you call something It Follows, it has to follow. It can't stand on a roof. Like, it's just that bothers me. But that's getting nitpicky. Plus, if you're in Detroit and the closed public pool that has electricity threw me off too, because I grew up near Detroit.
That's the weird thing. It's like you always go, no matter what movie.
Yeah.
You go to a movie, it's like, okay, we're just going to go through a party at this warehouse, and they flip on the breaker. It's like no one's been in this warehouse for like 20 years, and yet the power's still working.
Yeah. Know? That's why with the Sublet, that's why I threw that scene in there where she's like, I just can't get a cell phone. This address doesn't exist. It doesn't make any sense, but at least it justifies why there's no technology in the film at all.
Yeah, you I have to be honest, you two are a lot nicer about It Follows than I am, because I saw the movie in the theater. I agree with what John says about it doesn't follow its own rules, but it wasn't. There's like so many plot holes in that movie. Mm-hmm. And I remember everyone saying, this is the greatest movie. This is the scariest movie in the last blah, blah years. And I'm like, what? Can you show me the movie you were watching? Because what I watched wasn't it. There's one scene in the movie, and Kevin and I both feel the same way about this movie. And there's a scene where they show this, everyone's like dinking around the swimming pool. And then like 5 minutes later, the side of the pool is crushed in. We don't know why. We have no answers to half the things that happen in this thing, and you're just kind of going, okay, so what was so scary about this movie? I don't get it. I
was more confused than scared.
It was very pretty though.
It looked good. That was a sad thing. We both said that. We both said it looked great. It had a really cool soundtrack. The acting was decent. Movie just sucked.
Yeah, for me it was so close to being good and just didn't cross that line, and that's what I think was so disappointing. And without all the hype, I'm wondering if I wouldn't have liked it a little more.
Oh, true.
I don't know. I don't always buy into hype. I mean, I usually, like, when something comes out, I'll usually see it like on the first day or whatever, but I wanted more. That's the best way to put it. I just wanted more out of it.
Mhm.
And now we got movies like The Sublet, which they do set up their rules. They do follow their rules. The movie does look great. I can't believe this is a low budget movie, dude.
Yeah, dude, we had like, I mean, in American dollars, I think we're down to like 70,000, something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, because I don't know if you ever saw the movie Pieces of Talent by Joe Stoffer.
Mm-mm. No.
Shot beautiful. This is a pretty. This is one of my favorite independent horror films. So if you get a chance to check it out, check it out. But he didn't make that. He took him like 4 years to make that movie, and we're talking triple digits, or
Yeah.
six digits. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it, but I mean, my friend Gabriel Carrera, who did The Demolisher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just shot a film with his girlfriend over like 5 days for like, I don't even know what he spent, but almost nothing. And yeah, he just did it. I just watched it. It's actually really good. Just it's amazing what the right person with the right amount of determination can do without any money. And he had a great DP with him, and it was just him, the DP, and his girlfriend, and I think Rye Barrett, his friend, came out to act. And they just, over 5 days, like a long weekend, basically made a feature film, and it plays. It's
That's crazy.
Some pretty shocking scenes in it. I'm excited for it to get out in the world.
Well, I honestly, I don't want to keep you guys up too late because I know you're on East. I think it's more Eastern time than you are in my time. So
Yeah, I don't really sleep, so it's not a.
Yeah, but the guy the guy that's running the show for me needs to. So
True, he has an ad.
Fair hair.
But if people are looking for you on your social media, where can they find you?
John
Ainsley
on Instagram and at John_Ainsley on Twitter.
All right.
And for me, Rachel Sellan on Instagram, and Twitter, it's at Sellandary. So
Okay.
like legendary, but Sellandary.
And I know that you guys said that you have some stuff in the works that you really can't talk about, but any ideas about like when you will be able to talk?
I can talk about one of them that I don't have anything for yet, but I've got some interest in. That is called Do Not Disturb, which is the one I was originally pitching to Black Fawn, but it just was too expensive to do. So we did the sublet. But Do Not Disturb I think it's going to be a really fun movie. It's about a young couple who travel to Mexico for their honeymoon. And while down there, they've been accidentally booked into a swingers resort. So being honeymooners, they don't want to partake, and they decide to take a bunch of peyote and just get stoned in the room together and accidentally develop a unquenchable thirst for human flesh and start eating each other and inviting other guests into the room and feasting on them until they are no more.
I want to see that. And Rachel?
Yeah. Carnivore, huh? Yes, I do have a feature that will be coming out in this summer period, I guess. It's called The Ghost is a Lie, and the trailer will be out in the next couple of weeks, so I'll definitely be sharing that on my social media.
Cool. So you heard it. The Ghost is a Lie, Do Not Disturb, for John Ainsley and Rachel Sellan. I'm the 13th Wolfman, and I'm on the prowl.